Hey everyone, Rich Gasaway here. I want to take a moment before I start the podcast to remind you about the new Situational Awareness Matters online academy. This online academy will teach your members everything they need to know about situational awareness and high-risk decision-making for a crazy affordable price. If you enroll 31 or more members, the cost is just $49 a person. That's like half the cost of a decent pair of gloves. Since the Academy opened for enrollment in January, more than 700 students have signed up, and for good reason. Did you know that issues with situational awareness are consistently identified as contributing factors in near-miss, injury, and fatality events? Please, don't wait until your agency has a critical injury or fatality event. Don't wait. I get to work with many departments that have experienced critical injuries and fatalities, and they're some of the most hurting organizations you can imagine. Don't wait for that to happen in your department. Seriously, I can take your understanding of situational awareness and high-risk decision-making to the level that it needs to be. Visit samatters.com, click on the green button on the right side of the homepage labeled Online Academy. Hey, for our premium enrolled students in the Academy, they get to participate in a monthly webinar where I have a guest on to talk about important safety topics. Last month, the guest was Fire Chief Dennis Rubin talking about crew resource management. The next webinar is scheduled for August 30th, and that will feature Fire Chief Ron Canterman talking about safety leadership, advocacy, and being the champion. On September 11th, the webinar guest will be retired fire chief and attorney and physician's assistant John Murphy talking about first responder safety and street drugs like fentanyl and heroin. This is a really important topic right now, as this is a big issue impacting first response agencies. On October 30th, our webinar guest will be FDNY Battalion Chief Dan Sheridan talking about first due Battalion Chief Size Up and Situational Awareness. Again, these webinars are exclusive for the premium enrolled students in the Academy, and the playbacks are always available in the course room anytime they want to listen to them. So swing by samatters.com, click the green button on the right side of the homepage to learn more. Okay, that's enough of the pre-show stuff. Roll that podcast intro. Today's episode is sponsored by Midwest Fire. For more than 20 years, Midwest Fire has been manufacturing high-quality tankers, tanker pumpers, and fire rescue vehicles in the United States and Canada. Keeping firefighters safe while enhancing their capabilities is what they do best. To learn more, go to MidwestFire.com.
Hi, this is Fire Chief Gord Schreiner from Comox Fire Department, Vancouver Island, British Columbia, and you're listening to Dr. Rich Gasaway on SA Matters Radio. The SA Matters mission is simple. They want to help us see the bad things coming. Time to avoid bad outcomes.
Hello, and welcome to episode 173 of the Situational Awareness Matters radio show. I'm your host, Rich Gasaway. The purpose of this show is to improve situational awareness and decision-making for individuals and teams who work in high-risk, high-consequence, time-compressed environments with changing conditions. The SA Matters mission is simple: to help you see the bad things coming and time to avoid bad outcomes. If you're new to the podcast, you have some homework to do by going back and listening to some of the past episodes. I've released a new episode every Tuesday, never missed a week, for more than 3 years. And I do this for you, the listeners of the show. You inspire me. I've been sharing the message of situational awareness and high-risk decision-making in live programs for over 12 years now, and have trained just over 59,000 first responders. I'm here for the long run, and for so long as I'm able, I'll continue to share this message, a message of hope, a message of inspiration, and a message of encouragement for all first responders who want to make sure they're able to develop and maintain strong situational awareness and make quality, high-risk decisions. I'm dedicated to helping improve your safety and your survival, and helping you to accomplish the most important goal of all, to go home to the ones who love you. And speaking of sharing the message, I'm coming to you today from Nashville, Tennessee, where I'm in town to deliver a program for the Tennessee Health and Safety Conference. One of the questions I get asked a lot by readers and listeners are, when are you coming to my area? Or where are you going to be next? Great question, and the answer is easy to find out. There's a link to the upcoming events schedule right on the home page of the SA Matters website. Just click on the blue box on the right side of the home page labeled Upcoming Events Schedule. If you want to save some money when you're hosting a program, and who doesn't want to save some money, right? Here's a tip for how you can host a program at a reduced cost. You've heard me mention before, perhaps, if you've listened to the podcast, companion programs. Companion programs are programs on adjoining dates to other programs. So if you see I'm delivering a program, say within a couple of hours of your department, and you think you might want to tag along as a companion, contact me, and you can save as much as 20% off the cost of the program by being a companion. That's what I call a win-win. Before I dive into today's feature segment, I want to take a moment to mention the Company Officer Development Institute program that I created. Some of you know my second passion after situational awareness is developing the leadership skills of company officers, something I did a terrible job of when I was a fire chief. I was guilty of promoting officers before they were prepared to lead others, and that was my fault. And then I got frustrated with them when they didn't provide good leadership to crews and to stations, and that was my fault too. So I partnered with Indianapolis Fire Captain Patrick Harper, and we created the Company Officer Development Institute. This program can be customized to run anywhere from 2 to 5 days, and no matter the length, there's no PowerPoint. Did you hear that? No PowerPoint. Can you imagine a week-long class that doesn't use PowerPoint? Is it even possible? Not only is it possible, but it's a better way to learn the skills essential for good leadership. When adults are engaged in the process of learning, and not just being lectured to, learning can be fun, and the important part is the lessons stick. We share practical, actionable best practices for leadership, problem-solving, conflict resolution, teamwork, communications, motivation, accountability, generational leadership, discipline, coaching for performance improvement, and more. So when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired and frustrated from dealing with uncommitted, unprofessional, undedicated members destroying the morale of your department, and it's sucking the life out of you, contact me for a program that will teach you and your officers a better way of leadership and committed followership. Okay, in today's feature segment, we're going to explore Bravado and how Bravado can impact situational awareness. And when I'm done, stick around, and it will tell you where you can attend an upcoming Situational Awareness Matters Tour Stop event. Who knows, maybe there'll be an event right in your state or right in your county soon. I recently sent out a message across my social media networks, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn, about Bravado being a barrier to situational awareness. The message, in case you missed it, read, Bravado, the purposeful ignorance of critical signs of danger, coupled with a sense of invincibility, a barrier to situational awareness. First responders sometimes confuse bravery with bravado, and they are two distinctly different concepts. Let's explore each and discuss how they are linked to situational awareness. Recall that situational awareness is formed when we capture clues and cues in our environment, comprehend them into meaning something in the context of place and time, and finally making accurate predictions about future events by forming mental models. Bravery. Bravery is the humble and honorable display of courage. Bravado, on the other hand, is the pretentious, swaggering display of courage. Bravado as a barrier. A person displaying bravado is not concerned with his or her own safety. They're only concerned with looking courageous. This does not make the individual brave. It makes the individual dangerous. Once a person gets into a bravado mindset, the critical first two steps of the formation of situational awareness, purposefully capturing clues and cues, and comprehending those clues and cues into meaning, can be flawed. First responders performing brave acts of heroism are part of our noble vocation. But nowhere did any firefighter ever take an oath that said they were required to purposefully ignore all signs of danger and perform in a manner of reckless disregard for their own safety or the safety of other responders. There are several ways a responder gripped by bravado can miss or disregard critical clues and cues, in other words, signs of danger. 1. Being so narrowly focused on performing a heroic task that critical or deadly clues and cues are missed. 2. Seeing the critical or deadly clues and cues, with conscious awareness, choosing to ignore them. Or 3. Believing the critical or deadly clues and cues are not as bad as they might appear and dismissing them. The duty to die syndrome. A few years back, an associate of mine, Brian Crawford, then the fire chief of the Shreveport, Louisiana Fire Department, wrote an article where he proffered the notion that some first responders may suffer from what he called a duty to die syndrome. To my knowledge, this concept has not been evaluated extensively through the rigors of psychological research, so I will, for that reason, keep the syndrome at the theoretical level in this discussion. However, notwithstanding the lack of scientific evidence, I know many first responders, including myself, have witnessed someone whose incident scene demeanor and risk-taking certainly indicated they, at best, showed little regard for their own well-being and for the well-being of others around them. They routinely and seemingly proudly took excessive risks and arguably unnecessary risks as if tempting their own fate. Unfortunately, other responders can get caught up in this and find themselves in a very dangerous situation. I once delivered a program where I discussed the go versus no-go decision-making process that all first responders should be trained on to ensure the right decisions are being made at the right time for the right reasons. In this discussion, I noted there are times when structure fire victims are not savable. They have died in the structure prior to the fire department's arrival. I further went on to explain that when the window of civilian survivability has closed, interior rescue efforts will be unsuccessful, and firefighters are putting themselves in grave danger of becoming victims also, and therefore should not conduct interior rescue operations under these conditions. About a week later, I got a phone call from one of the students in the program. He was very upset. He told me his officer, who was also in the program the previous week, corralled the company at the kitchen table and denounced my belief that suggested there are times when a fire is a no-go fire and insisted that his company will always go in. In his words, that's our sworn duty. He further told his company that he would fully expect all of them to go in with him, and if they didn't, then they should put in for a transfer to another company that didn't want to fight fire, in his words. I was stunned when I was told this. At first, I didn't know what to say. The officer was obviously in full bravado mode. No one, especially some outsider like me, was going to tell him that a fire should not be fought from the interior. He did everything but pluck his chest hairs out while posturing around the room in front of his subordinates. They were hardly impressed. In fact, they were so scared that he was going to behave in a way that was going to cause them harm at a real fire and act in a way that was not in good judgment, that they contacted me looking for some assistance on what to do about this firefighter who had a death wish, as if he wanted to die on the job. After some discussion and inquiry on my part, I learned this officer had a dysfunctional home environment, was divorced from his wife, and was alienated from his children. At work, he was essentially friendless because of his mean-spirited demeanor. In other words, he was miserable. This firefighter told me that the officer did not seem to have anything worthwhile to live for, and therefore seemed to be on a self-destruction course. The firefighters under his watch were rightfully so concerned that he was going to take them with him. Without sharing too much of the details, I coached this firefighter about how to have a meaningful professional conversation with the officer to express the concerns about his behaviors. I coached the firefighter about how to maneuver through the chain of command, and if that did not work, how to file a formal complaint to put his employer on notice about the concerns they had with this officer. I understand we are firefighters and that we are trained, prepared, and willing to lay down our lives for others. That's what makes our calling so noble and one that so few people can do. However, I also understand that we all enter this earth with an expiration date. That's right, none of us are getting off this ride alive. We're all mortal beings, and there's no sense to rush the expiration date. When I was younger, I didn't think this way. When I was single, I didn't think this way. Before I had kids, I didn't think this way. When firefighting was the only and most important thing in my life, I didn't think this way. I loved tempting the devil, and tempt him I did a lot. And obviously, because you're listening to this podcast now, you know that I cheated the devil successfully every time. Winning felt good, and it gave me confidence to tempt him more and more. I laughed in the face of danger because I knew, or thought that I, was invincible. I had won so many times, I knew I could not be beat. I was suffering from bravado, and I had a dangerous mindset. But I didn't know it. I wish I could tell you that there was some magnificent fire event that I almost died in that scared me back to reality. But there wasn't. What got me looking at this differently was paying attention to how many firefighters were tempting the devil and losing. Then I attended a firefighter funeral. Actually, it was 4 firefighter funerals from a fire that occurred on December 20th, 1991 in Brackenridge, Pennsylvania. While I grew up near Pittsburgh, I did not know any of these firefighters, but the impact of attending the funerals left an indelible mark on my soul. When I looked at all the grieving family members, I knew I did not want to die that way. Nor did I ever want a firefighter under my command to die that way. Be brave, but be brave in smart ways. Learn how to develop and maintain situational awareness and do the right things at the right time for the right reasons. If you've experienced or witnessed a near miss and would like to have a platform to share your lessons learned with others, contact me by visiting the SAMatters.com website and clicking on the Contact Us link on the top of the homepage. Think about it for a moment. Sharing the lessons learned from your near miss event here on the podcast could save the life of another first responder. That's powerful. If you want to share your experience, contact me. I want to take a moment to thank the departments and organizations that have hosted some great training for their members on situational awareness. Your efforts to bring this powerful training on situational awareness and high-risk decision-making to your departments and others in your region are greatly appreciated. Recent tour stops included the Woodlands Fire Department in Texas, the town of McCandless, Pennsylvania Fire Department, Fire Rescue International in Charlotte, North Carolina, and the John Glenn Research Center, NASA Research Center in Cleveland, Ohio, and where I am now at the Tennessee Safety and Health Conference. By the time this episode airs, I will have completed 2 programs hosted by the Evansville, Indiana Fire Department in conjunction with the Indiana Fire Chiefs Association. I'm so thankful for the presentation opportunities that I have upcoming. If you're interested in joining me, on August 10 and 11, I'll be in Redmond, Washington, August 22 to 24, Lexington County, South Carolina, August 26 and 27, Houston, Texas, September 5 through 7, the Norfolk Naval Shipyard, September 11 and 12, the Chesapeake Fire Department, September 13 and 14, Henrico County Fire Department, September 18-19, Topeka Fire Department, September 20, Snai Valley Fire Protection District, September 21, the University of California Davis Campus Program for the International Association of Fire Chiefs, and September 26, the Pearland, Texas Fire Department. In October, the SA Matters Tour goes international in a big way, with programs in October in Sydney, Australia, Melbourne, Australia, Perth, Australia, Christchurch, New Zealand, Auckland, New Zealand, Amsterdam, Netherlands, and Antwerp, Belgium. That's 12 programs and 77 flight hours in 28 days. This will be by far the craziest SA Matters Tour Stop event ever. If you want to see the locations of upcoming Situational Awareness Matters tour stops, head over to the samatters.com website, click on the blue box on the right side of the homepage labeled Upcoming Events Schedule. The schedule is always changing, so check back often. If you're interested in hosting an SA Matters tour stop event, there are only a couple dates left in 2017, and that's pushing all the bookings now into 2018. So even if you're thinking about 2018, now's the time to get your program on the calendar. So if you're thinking of a program for your department or your association or your regional conference or your state conference or your company, yes, we do programs for business and industry too, contact me through the SA Matters website, Contact Us tab. The last time I was delivering programs in southwest Minnesota, I stopped by and visited the sponsor of this podcast show, Midwest Fire. Midwest Fire makes all poly-bodied fire apparatus, and it's changing the industry. You seriously need to check them out at midwestfire.com. Anyhow, I got a chance to sit down and talk with a few of their employees about what separates Midwest Fire from their competitors. Let's listen in to a conversation I had with engineer Tyler LeBrun talking about what differentiates Midwest Fire from their competitors. So, Tyler, what differentiates the manufacturing process here at Midwest Fire as, say, compared to the competitors who build fire trucks as well? What makes you stand out in comparison?
I don't really know exactly what kind of systems the other competitors have in place, but the one thing that I really think that sets us apart, that I've seen in the side of the manufacturing field, is trying to implement and adhere to some different lean ideologies, and that being said, lean manufacturing really helps us deliver a better quality product more efficiently with less waste to the customer. And also on the other side of that, I think the team that we have here, our manufacturing team and all the people that we have, with the way we work together, the teamwork that we have, and everybody's positive attitude, and it may sound kind of cliche, but the can-do spirit that we have, I think, really helps us, separate ourselves from the competition.
But I think one of the things too that I noticed when we were touring around on the shop floor is, as I looked around, I didn't see hundreds of employees. This is not a company that employs hundreds of people. It's an employee it's a company that employs a small number of employees with a great deal of dedication, and obviously that lends some to this teamwork and this sense of family that is going on here that might actually be an asset compared to a large company where an employee just might be a number.
Exactly, most definitely, and that's something that we see is all of our employees are able to work together to build these trucks, because it's not something that they're just going to sit in their station and only do their work. If they see that somebody else needs help, they're going to go over there and help them do that, help them get ahead in their part of the process so that the product can keep flowing through the manufacturing floor.
Nice, thank you. So that's really example of what separates Midwest Fire on the manufacturing side from their competitors. So check them out at midwestfire.com. Thank you, Midwest Fire President Sarah Atchison, and all your staff for your awesome commitment to improving first responder safety. I sincerely appreciate your support of my mission. If you're not a member of the SA Matters community of learners yet, consider joining. There are over 9,000 members connected here on SA Matters, sharing ideas about how to improve situational awareness, how to make better decisions under stress, and how to train members to be critical thinkers and resilient problem solvers. Membership is free, and when you sign up, I'll send you a special report that I've created for new members called 25 Best Practices for Improving First Responder Safety. Joining also gets you my monthly email newsletter that contains featured content from the blog and the podcast. It really is the best way for us to stay in touch with each other. If you're not a member yet, head over to the SAMatters.com website and click on the red box on the right side of the homepage labeled Free Membership. If you want to get connected with me on Twitter, you can follow @RichGasaway on Twitter. On LinkedIn, you can search for Rich Gasaway. On YouTube, you can watch my videos on the SA Matters TV YouTube channel. And on Facebook, you can like the SA Matters page. Well, that's it. Episode 173 is complete. Thank you to our awesome podcast sponsor, Midwest Fire. Thank you to our live event hosts. Thank you to all of our online academy students. And thank you, our listeners, for sharing some of your valuable time with me today. I really appreciate your support of the SA Matters mission. Be safe out there, and may the peace of the Lord and strong situational awareness be with you always.
You've been listening to the Situational Awareness Matters radio show with Dr. Richard B. Gasaway. If you are interested in learning more about situational awareness, human factors, and decision-making under stress, visit SAMatters.com. If you are interested in booking Dr. Gasaway for an upcoming event, visit his personal website at richgasaway.com.